Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole. I am so excited about today's guest. I think you all know, because I told you last week, that Broadway is open. It is open finally after almost 2 years of not just Broadway, but our whole world being shut down. But for Broadway to reopen means something magical for people who love the arts. And especially this year, there are seven Black playwrights with stories about Black folk that are premiering at this historic moment when Broadway is reopening. And I had the honor to participate in a big weekend of activities called Curtain Up 2 weeks ago that was sponsored by the Broadway League, where everything about what's going on Broadway was featured during this weekend. And one of those features was a panel discussion with four of the seven Black playwrights, three who are making their Broadway debut, and one who is a veteran. And of course, I had to ask them if they would come and talk to me on Dreamleapers. And today, I have a playwright who just made the most fun and emotional play. It's called Chicken and Biscuits. It has just opened on Broadway, and Douglas Lyons is here today to tell us all about it. Welcome, Douglas.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you. First of all, it was so much fun when we were sitting in the middle of Times Square talking about Broadway and having four Black playwrights, four of the seven. This is historic. It's never happened before. There's been a lot of criticism of Broadway. And actually, Douglas, I've been part of a project with the Broadway League for the past maybe 4 years, examining how Broadway engages Black audiences, who is on stage and behind stage uh, in terms of talent, to help figure out a way forward so that we can have more equity. And everything got fast forwarded during COVID so that people realize, oh, we aren't doing a good enough job and we need to change that. And this is an example of that change. And you get to debut this fabulous play as part of, I think, a wake up call. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think I'm calling it an opportunity to take up space, to say that we have always been here and our stories belong in this space. And so I'm really excited to just bring joy to people and laughter to people, and to show folks that a Black story is just as relatable as any other story, that our story is not just Black, it's universal, it's humane. And Broadway needs to embrace all kinds of stories, because when you do that, you will get all kinds of audiences. So I'm really thrilled, and I believe in the play, and I think it could make an impact, not just for this moment, but for the future.
I will agree. I just saw the play. I went to the first performance with the live audience at the final dress rehearsal, which was so incredibly exciting. And uh, I agree with you. It's a story both about Black life and then just about life. And when I was leaving, Douglas, standing outside among all the other excited people who had seen the play, there was a white woman, a Jewish woman, who, and I know this because she told me, who came over to me and my husband, and she said, "That was so good. And that was just like my family. And I'm Jewish." She said, "My family is just like them." And I just thought that was exactly what you're saying. It's a testament to storytelling and humanity that we're more connected than we're not, right?
Completely. And if we stop looking at each other through the lens of race, we can never ignore our skin color. But if we don't make that the priority in how we relate to each other, we will heal a lot. We will talk a lot. We will laugh a lot more if we stop going, "Oh, you're Black, so I don't think I've lived in your shoes," or this stereotype of who you might be is going to lead before me actually just meeting you as who you may be or what you've been through. And I think seeing this play is going to allow people the opportunity to go, "Oh, I've seen a Latrice. I've seen a young girl with multicolored braids listening to her headphones, and I didn't understand her, but she can be really funny. Oh, wait, maybe I should say hi to her, right?
Yes.
Maybe I can understand her, because this play investigates what it is to be broken and to restore, and the beautiful healing that happens when we do it together." So No, I'm really I'm thrilled that we made it here. I'm thrilled that the play is still doing what it's done for the past 3 years in development, and I just can't wait for the first preview tonight.
So let's talk about what the story is. It's called Chicken and Biscuits. What is the storyline? What do you, what's the setting and what are we talking about?
So the setting is St. Luke's Church in New Haven, Connecticut. I'm from New Haven, Connecticut, but I did not grow up with the St. Luke's. I grew up with Thomas Chapel Church of Christ, Disciples of Christ, where my mother is now the pastor. And it is a funeral. We are burying Bernard, who is the patriarch of the family. His daughters, Benita and Beverly, who do not get along very well, have to come together on this day with the extended family and bury their father. Benita knows a family secret that she has not shared with the rest of the family, and that secret shows up at the funeral. And Benita's children, Kenny and Simone, come to the funeral. Kenny brings his white, very quirky Jewish boyfriend, who is not typically allowed or welcomed in a Black church space. And things explode, they heal, they're restored, and we push forward. That's Chicken and Biscuits.
That is Chicken and Biscuits. And why is it called that? We, for those of us who are from the Black community, everybody knows some chicken and biscuits. They're made, in the family. And also every Black community has a restaurant, at least one, that's serving them up. But why did you choose to name it Chicken and Biscuits?
I think there's a stereotype around the fear of what that means on the community. But growing up with my family, when there was chicken and biscuits, there was laughter, there were stories, there was tradition, there was recipes passed down, never written down, but passed down from just watching. It's tradition, it's heritage, and that will never be taken away from us because of someone else's stereotype. So it's actually taking back the ownership of the food as an analogy to represent the love that happens over the food and during the food. That's what Chicken and Biscuits is. And it's tasty. I think the story itself is a meal, and Chicken and Biscuits is really tasty too.
I will agree with that. Now, you talk about the universality of the story. And also, so as a Black person experiencing the play, I was familiar with so many things because they are the play is immersed in our culture. Like there is a repast. So if you are Black, you know that after a funeral, what you're eating, that event is called a repast. There are all kinds of things like that are just like we know them, but because of the white Jewish boyfriend, I think he's such an important character in a play on Broadway in particular, where typically most of the attendees are white. He's like the cultural translator, and I love him in his role. Can you talk about that character, Logan, and what his role is in the play?
Yeah, so I had a Logan of my own, originally inspired that at one point. And I think it is the entry point into a space that you don't feel welcomed. If you are a white Jewish woman, you maybe have not been to a Black church unless you were burying a friend or going to a service out of support. And I think there are traditions and heritage in the Black church that other races don't understand. And so Logan is that entry point of eyesight and experience live. He's trying to figure out where the Bible verses are. He doesn't understand why people are screaming back. He's very confused as to what's going on, but he wants to participate for his partner, right? And I think it allows white people in the space who come see the play to go, if Logan can do it, I guess I can do it too, And that's where the comedy happens too, is someone thrown into a setting that they would not traditionally be a part of, and to see them survive where they are not welcomed already.
And I love I love that there's humor, and this is a comedy. I'm going to say it's a comedy that has a lot of tears and a lot of deep storytelling to it. Maybe perhaps that's the best comedies, when you get to go deep as well. But I want to tell you a story, Douglas, because watching the play reminded me of an experience I had, and I think that's great when that happens. That's good storytelling. So one of my dearest friends is a white woman from a completely different world than myself. And her father, who was a prominent money guy, passed away.
Hmm.
And I went to the funeral. And it's almost the exact opposite of Chicken and Biscuits, but Logan's experience. I was one of maybe 3 Black people at this funeral. And I've been friends with her for most of my adult life. When I went into the bathroom at the reception, there was an older white woman who looked at me as I was washing my hands, and she says, "Hi, it's so nice to see you. How are you doing?" And I, of course, said hi. I had never seen her before. She then let me know that she thought I was the attendant to my friend's father when he was ill, because I was the Black girl
Wow.
attendant. And I was like, no, I'm a family friend.
Uh-huh.
And she was so proud because, like, in your play, Logan is called everything except for his name. I was, and there. I mean, the people who do this work are beautiful and wonderful and important. I'm not that service worker, and she stereotyped me. Well, I was Black and I was there and I was female, so I must be that person. And when I saw the person, the only things that were similar were that we were Black and female. And it wasn't funny. So because it was real life, it wasn't funny. It was I was fuming. My friend was embarrassed. And this kind of thing happens all the time. So in your play, that happens more for Black people, that you're the odd person out.
Yeah.
You have the white person as the odd person out, and you add humor to it. Is humor important so that people can take the lesson in? Because in my situation, it was just painful, and I never forgot.
I've learned the best healing is through humor. So Chicken and Biscuits taught me as a writer, because I have a new play, Invisible, that I just finished the first draft of. It deals with microaggressions from white people to Black women through comedy. It's a comedy. If we can laugh at how ridiculous racism is, instead of portraying the trauma of it all the time, we might heal as a society. And so I believe,
yes,
I'm going to take my pen and write about how ridiculous it is that you think you ever owned my body or my mind. And white people, y'all gonna think it's funny because it actually is funny. It's ridiculous that you would ever think that was possible. And so I'm personally tired of seeing stories where Black actors have to step into these roles where they are reliving the trauma of the reality. How about we write a world in which we are laughing at your racism and not taking it on? How about we write that story? And that's where I live.
I love that. I love that concept, because this period of quarantine and Black Lives Matter has been a very retrospective time for everyone.
Yes.
Whatever you're thinking about, you've had almost 2 years to do it. And as my daughter, who's now in the 12th grade, was preparing to go to school, the summer homework was looking at films. There was a series of like 20 films, and she had to watch some of them. And she says, "Mommy, everything is about Black people." And I said, "Well, isn't that good?" And she says, "Not really, because almost everything is depressing." She says, "I don't want to watch one more story about slavery or about somebody being shot and killed or defamed in one way or another." And so we looked through and we found a few that weren't, like Becoming, Michelle Obama's film. And there were a few that were positive. But to your point, Douglas, like, I was so happy that they're even teaching Black history and Black art in her school. And she's like, "Yeah, Mommy, but I don't want to." So when I came home and told her about your play, I said, "I'm bringing you to Chicken and Biscuits because you're going to enjoy it. It's our stories, but there's an uplifting experience in the stories that I think is important, especially now."
We rarely get to be uplifted. And that happens when we are in charge of the pen, right? If the teacher for your daughter's assignment only knows the images that she, learned, a lot of those images were probably created by white people. And so part of my movement is taking the pen to change the narrative that when you see our skin on screen or stage, that we have to be depressed and oppressed and full of trauma. It does not have to be that way. That's not how I was raised. I didn't have a traumatic childhood. I was raised with a lot of joy that the church gave me, a lot of laughter and music and family and healing. And why can we not see that on the Broadway stage? That's why Chicken and Biscuits is revolutionary in this moment, because it is challenging this idea that our stories can only be a monolithic view.
Say amen to that. Hey guys, you're listening to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole here on WBAI in New York City. That's 99.5 FM and everywhere online at WBAI.org. And this is the opening of the Broadway season that is opening with 7 plays by and about Black life, which is just so exciting and gratifying, in particular because we get our stories on this beloved stage that is a global stage. People come from all over the world to partake of the art that is offered on Broadway. And from the whoever we think of as the regular folk from Ohio and London and Baltimore, where I'm from, my mother used to come up on the bus every year with her friends and church groups and different groups, women's organizations would come up on the bus to see these plays. People come from all over and get to experience the work of tremendous artists like the person who's with us today, Douglas Lyons, who wrote the play Chicken and Biscuits. And Douglas, I want you to talk about the fact that this is your debut as a playwright on Broadway, but not your debut on Broadway. So how did you get started?
So my first Broadway show was in 2011. It was the Tony Award-winning Book of Mormon. My first day of rehearsal, I was an additional swing added to the original Broadway company. My first day of rehearsal was on the Tony nominations day, May 2nd, which was wild.
Wow.
And so I got to take that ride and be in People magazine with them, though I wasn't there opening night. And it was really lovely. And so I did Mormon for a year and 2 months on Broadway. I then went to the first national tour where I met my writing partner for music, Ethan B. Pakchar. And we started collaborating in 2013. We released an album, #LoveLive, and started working on musicals. And that led to Polka Dots, my TYA show that is dedicated to the strength of the Little Rock Nine and Ruby Bridges. Another musical, 5 Points, that I'm developing with Andy Blankenbuehler. Bo, the musical, which is an actor-musician piece, coming of age queer story. And then that led me to Chicken and Biscuits. And I was in residence at the Directors Company for the past 2 or 3 years. And I had this space just to explore and call in actors and go, hey, can you read these 5 pages for me? Okay, have a nice day. Here's a gift card for coffee. Can you come read this for me? Cool. And I built my rooms that way and found my voice. So I was writing backstage after Mormon when I got back. So crazy. 6 days after I got back from Book of Mormon, I booked Beautiful, the Carole King musical, which I did on and off in the original company for 6 years.
And what was your role in that production?
So in Mormon, I was a swing. In Beautiful, I was a drifter, and I sang Up on the Roof. If you listen to the album, I sing Up on the Roof.
Okay.
And yeah, I was writing a lot of these projects backstage at the Stephen Sondheim Theater.
And so take us behind the velvet rope, so to speak. So most people don't know what goes on backstage. They see the actors on stage, but don't even understand what's going on. So if you are there, you have a role, but a lot of the time, people aren't doing what they are doing things, but not doing anything in the sense of you're not on stage all the time. You're not engaged all the time. So what is it like backstage, and how did you find time to work on your own projects?
So the really beautiful thing about Beautiful is I had a feature. We had like moments where it was just us on stage, which is kind of rare in a Broadway show when you're not the lead. And I had a solo Up on the Roof. And so I would get to the theater maybe 5 minutes before half hour. Half hour is the call that you're called to the theater. You have a half hour to get in costume and mic. And I would always go before my wig time, pop on my wig, grab my computer, and sit in the hallway. I put on my underwear, my socks, and my t-shirt. And then when the downbeat of the play would start, I would put on my costume for my first number. I then had 10 minutes, I think, between my next entrance I had a quick change after that when I first appeared as a drifter. After that appearance, which was some kind of wonderful, I had 20 minutes before we would go back on stage for, this is so funny to say, what we call 12 Minutes a Slave, which was when all the Black people were on stage for 12 minutes.
Oh.
And I sang Up on the Roof. We did On Broadway, The Locomotion, and then we sang Love and Feelin' offstage vocals, but that was a 12-minute period. But then after that, I had a 45-minute break until my track reappeared on stage. So in my 20-minute break and in my 45-minute break, I would be writing. I would be writing Bo and Polka Dots and Chicken and Biscuits. And it just became a part of my show. I would bring my computer to work. I would perform, be full out on stage, and then go downstairs, find a little corner and write. And I used a lot of the actors around me at that time, two of which came last night to see the show. One of them had played Logan in the third reading of Chicken and Biscuits. And I literally found my voice while a part of a show about a woman who was finding her voice.
That's a beautiful thing. And I wonder, I mean, you strike me as someone who is driven. You know what you want, you go for it. You're using that 20 minutes and that 45 minutes really in a focused and directed way. And I should say, Douglas, this project, what you are part of right now, Dreamleapers, that I created some years ago, here on the radio, I interview people who have made their dreams come true, and we talk about it. I do lots of workshops where I help people to access those dreams and activate them. And what you just described, I just want to highlight, because you don't make your dream come true if you just squander the 20 minutes or the 45 minutes. If you take a nap, you gossip, you chit chat about nothing, then those precious minutes are just gone. You use them to work on multiple projects, one of which is on Broadway right now. I mean, so where did that drive come from?
People ask me this. I think it's from my parents. I was engaged in so many extracurricular activities growing up. I did soccer, tennis, baseball, basketball, piano. I did not study the way I needed to, so we dropped that. I did dancing school. I taught tap. I did all these things, and I had to learn how to be a leader when I was teaching. I taught at Roberto Clemente Middle School. I was teaching like an after-school hip-hop program. I learned at 15 that I had to lead, and I had to come up with a syllabus, and I had to choreograph, right? And then my sophomore year in high school, this wonderful woman by the name of Leah Davila in New Haven was opening a dance studio, and she gave me a job to teach. So I learned how to be a leader and how to structure my life very early on because I was nurtured to do so.
That's excellent. And you describe, and we get to see in this play, being immersed in the church and your family, having ministers in your family. And this is very common in the Black community, that many people are immersed in the church. And you talk about being queer. So those two don't usually go together so well in terms of values and family dynamics. I mean, while many Black families and other families have queer people in the family, often they're ostracized, often they are not welcome. For you, Douglas, what was that struggle like as you were coming to understand who you are?
It's still a struggle now. It's an everyday voyage to learn how to love yourself where you are. And that's changing, right? The pandemic brings up a lot when you're sitting inside your room and looking at the ceiling and cooking food and watching Netflix, right? So I think the discovery of self as a human, whether you're queer or not, is a daily activation and investigation. And so my form of faith is constantly evolving. I have always held on to the music. Gospel music is my sword in this crazy city. I can put on, Kurt Franklin and go on the train, and I feel safe in some weird way. I feel like anything that's happening is not going to infiltrate my spirit in that moment. And so that's the one thing that I think has always kept me connected to the church, even if we've disagreed, is the music. because I'm a musician. That's how I learned to sing first. And there's something about hearing gospel music, which is why that's the first thing you hear when you walk into the theater as well.
And the music, let me just tell you all, without being a spoiler here, the music is funny. So this is a comedy, and you hear this music like, what's that music? You know, it's funny. You just have to go see it, and you'll get the experience of the twist on gospel music that is a part of the storytelling. Right, Douglas?
Yes, yes.
So, but back to the family. So for you, how did you, in the early days of owning your sexual identity in a Black family that is of the church, how did you navigate that?
I'm still navigating it. The work is not done. So it is, everyone's story is different. And I think with this play and with a lot of things I write, I am learning to heal myself actively and to love myself a little bit more and to own myself a little bit more in the way that I want. You know, I think the queer community, there's not a monolith in how to do it. There's not a monolith of what a Black queer person looks like. And so I'm just actively just trying to love on myself and be whatever that is. And it changes, right? Like it's not always the same, but it wasn't an early life discovery that I've like concretely gotten through. It's something
you're in process.
I'm in process.
So that's interesting, because in the play, one of the things that I appreciated was the way in which you introduce this gay couple and the challenges in a queer Black man bringing his white Jewish man with him to daddy's funeral, and the kind of how dare you of that. And you very tenderly, with the sprinkling of humor, illustrate the kinds of things that people go through when they don't feel accepted.
Mm-hmm.
And what I particularly like, Douglas, is you do that with the queer son, but you do it with each child in the family. It is that, so equal opportunity, whatever your issues are, get exposed. Which, can you talk about just that process for you of, because often in productions one character stands out as fully developed, but you have fully developed each of these characters, and you take us in, including the teenager, the misunderstood, crazy color hair teenager. Talk about the story development so that we get to live inside of each of these characters.
For sure. I think it's important. The exercise here was, how do you create 8 characters that are relatable to human nature, that a preacher from Atlanta or from Mississippi or Connecticut can see themselves in Reginald? There is a certain esteem when it comes to being a preacher's wife and the first lady. I know what that is. You know, people standing up and applauding just because she's walking to the podium.
That's right. That's right.
Right. And then the more ratchet sister who's showing a little bit too much. That each of these characters have struggles, dignity, and heart. And that we should not look down on these characters because we should not look down on these people in real life. And so we've seen all these characters in real life, but have we actually engaged with them or given them respect or given them space? And I think by giving these very specific characters and personalities space in the play, it allows those characters in real life to have space on Broadway and to feel like they can come into a Broadway show and see themselves reflected. So I carved out, because we are not a monolith as Black people, I wanted to make sure that each Black woman on stage had a very specific personality. And so it's, 3 years is a very quick development for a play, but we had 5 readings. 1 was virtual, 4 were in person, and I constantly rewrite. Even in the rehearsal room, I rewrote at least 15 pages of the play because I'm constantly investigating how can we make it deeper and better. The big release, we'll just call it that. I won't give more than that, but that was a rewrite in the room. That did not exist on the first day of rehearsal.
Wow, that's something. Hey guys, you're listening to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole here on WBAI in New York City. That's 99.5 FM and everywhere online at WBAI.org. We are talking about the Broadway production of Chicken and Biscuits with playwright Douglas Lyons. It's just such an honor to be with you and to have seen the play and been immersed in the play. And I want to let folks know this plays on Broadway now, and you got to go. And Douglas has very generously offered tickets to the Dreamleapers family so that you can go see his play. You know, this is listener sponsored radio, so often I'll just say, would you make a contribution? But today I get to say, would you make a contribution to WBAI and then get the present of being able to go to see Chicken and Biscuits? That's pretty good, isn't it?
It's
So
great.
yeah, come on now. So thank you, Douglas. Look, all of you listening, you can get 2 tickets to go see Chicken and Biscuits for a gift to WBAI of $200. Now, here's what I want to tell you. You can't go to Broadway or on a really cool date for $200. It just doesn't really happen. You having a date for $200 anywhere in New York City just doesn't really happen.
Mhm.
So you get to go to, what is it called? The square. What's the name of the theater?
Circle in the Square.
Circle in the Square. It's a really cool theater where it literally is a circle. You get to see it from all different angles depending upon where you sit. So for a donation of $200 to WBAI, you and somebody you love can go see this play. So call us right now at 212-209-2950. I'll repeat it, 212-209-2950. Or you can also go online at give2wbai.org and say that you want 2 tickets to see Douglas Lyons play Chicken and Biscuits. And Douglas, how long is the play running? Because people need to go see the play now. What's the run?
It's a limited run. So we're opening previews today, September 23rd, and we run through January 2nd.
Okay. And so that means, so for people listening, yes, we tape this. And the reason we tape this is because Douglas is busy. So we're airing tomorrow, which is September 24th. But it's opening now and goes until, what's the date again?
January 2nd.
January 2nd. So this means don't think about it, wonder, because you will miss it. Call us now for your tickets through WBAI. A gift from Douglas Lyons, 212-209-2950. And for $200 as a gift to WBAI, you get the gift yourself of 2 tickets to this play. So Douglas, I want to talk about what it means to you to be part of this group of 7 who are debuting at this moment, at a tender moment. You know, people are just now coming out of their house. You know, I want to point out to everyone, you have to have a proof of vaccination in order to go to this place. So you can't just get the tickets. You have to bring your proof of vaccination, but it's safe. I've been to a couple of plays now. You have to wear your mask. They aren't serving food, so you don't take the mask off. The production is in one piece. It doesn't have an intermission. So it's very, very safe, very carefully executed, but still we're trying to get folks out to come to the play. So what does this moment mean for you to be part of this covenant of 7 at this moment in time?
So 7 is a divine number, and it feels destined. I've always said that I feel like Cinderella at the ball, but I now feel like Cinderella owns the ball. Like I am meant to be here right now. Yes, I'm meant to be here right now. And it excites me. It excites me that it feels like a new chapter. There's this Broadway is back. I actually don't think Broadway is back. I think Broadway is forward, right? I think Broadway needs to change the way that things were. And these 7 new plays encourage us to listen deeper and to open our eyes and our ears to bigger possibilities for this art form we all love so much. But we're not allowing everyone in the world to love it because the stories we've been telling have been recycled to the same people. And so I'm just excited to be in this new chapter of history. When people look back on this moment, young Black theater students right now, when they come to New York for winter break, can go see themselves on stage in 7 different plays. That's huge. That's huge. So that's exciting.
It's very exciting. As I see theater a lot, obviously was on that pause with everybody else. Prior to this moment, the longest running uh, production with a number of Black people in it is Lion King, which thank God for Lion King. But it, were it not for Lion King, there would be so far fewer Black people in any kind of roles on Broadway. Uh, that's a musical. These are plays that they're
Mhm.
stories. It's a different kind of offering. It's an offering that makes you think, that makes you examine your life and your relationship to the people in your world. And in Chicken and Biscuits, you, as you described, you paint a picture of all these different characters and take us into their lives and their world. What are you hoping people leave the theater with? What is the nourishment that you're hoping they leave with that they can carry forward?
Love, love. We're so divided. Social media is helpful, but also dangerous. Um, During this time, people have been alone. Relationships have fallen apart, fallen out. We've lost so many people. We forgot what it is to laugh next to each other. We haven't been able to do that in a year and a half. And I saw someone, post like, it's just great to laugh out loud again in the theater. Someone who just saw the show. So I want people to feel that humanity is not lost, that things can be repaired, that love conquers all, even if things are difficult. And if entertainment can give you that inspiration, I think we're doing more work than just a Broadway show. We're trying to re-enrich culture and hope, because it's been hard. We've been through 4 years. We ain't even gonna go there, but we've been through a lot of harm. And I think what theater, interestingly enough, I found the theater because it gave me the love that I stopped sometimes feeling at church.
I understand
And
that.
and I think church can actually love. And I think theater, because of its reach, can really, really love. And sometimes I think we get too caught up in the entertainment and the Tonys and the awards. It's like, actually, this is a vessel for change as well. It is essential work because it can heal an open conversation if we use it the right way. And so when people see Chicken and Biscuits, I just want them to feel like, oh, somebody loves me.
I appreciate that. So I mentioned I have a teenage daughter. She's 17. And when I looked at the teenager in the play, I thought of all these teenagers who, well, you talk about not being able to be connected with others. Uh, that has been so incredibly difficult. But also, like my daughter has the back of her hair is dyed fuchsia. And
Mm,
there are people who are like, "What'd you do to your hair?" I'm like, "She's 17. She can have fun." When I was her age, I dyed my hair blue black. I remember, like
mm,
and when you're a teenager, you have fun. But many people do judge teenagers based upon whatever the exploration is that they're doing physically, and also discount them for their creativity. And you go into that story a little bit with Latrice. Can you talk about her?
yeah, I think we write off this Gen Z generation as not knowing. They're actually some of the most intelligent people in the room, sometimes too intelligent, if you ask me. But yeah, there's a curiosity and a spirit in this next generation of people. And we need to make space for that. And we need to collaborate with that and not write it off. I think the largest mistake, especially in the Black community, is you don't talk back. You don't. It's like there has to be respect, but there also needs to be conversation and expression and allowing our kids to, dye their hair if they want. Did God say they can't dye their hair? You know what I mean? Like, let them dye.
Yeah.
It's their hair. you
And
know.
of all the things, it will grow back. You can cut it off. It doesn't have to. It's not permanent like some other things that folks like to do.
Yeah. So it's what I'm really excited about. You speak about your daughter and my god sister, who I've spent over almost 30 years of my life with. She saw Chicken and Biscuits in Queens, the Queens Theater, the world premiere, and she's seen me in a ton of things. She drove 2 hours to come back with her girlfriend the next week. She had never done anything like that. And so I'm hoping that your daughter and all of her classmates see Chicken and Biscuits and go, yes, bet, yes, that's Latrice, yes, yes, that they identify with something on the stage that speaks to them and makes them want to see another Broadway show.
I will let you know, because she's going to come to see the play. So I'll let you know what her experience is of that, because I do think it's important. So now I have to go to another personal place. My niece, Alana Raquel Bowers, is starring in your play.
She is.
I was so excited to learn that she was in the play. She does an incredible job playing the character Simone. Tell me about Simone and Alana.
So Alana, actually, I saw Alana in two other things. I saw her in Scraps at the Flea Theater. My agent invited me one night, and I didn't recognize her because when I saw her in What to Send Up, her hair was out. But in Scraps, she had braids in. And then I looked in her bio, I was like, oh, I've seen her before. And after I saw her in What to Send Up, she was so remarkable and so strong. I waited in the lobby and I said, hi, I'm a playwright. I'm working on a new piece. It was Chicken and Biscuits. And I said, I think I have something for you. Alana did the second reading of Chicken and Biscuits on world premiere, online reading, and now Broadway debut tonight. So she's been a part of the family for over 2 years. And Simone has been built on her instrument, which is rare as an actor that you get that experience. But she's just so reliable and available and vulnerable to go to the places that Simone has to go in the play. It's really unexpected, her journey. If I've done it right, you don't see it coming. And then when you learn about it, you're like, whoo, that's a heavy thing to carry. And she does such a beautiful job of it.
And again, I'm not going to give away the story, but you break down a lot of stereotypes in this play, you know, showing how many people think. So when I say stereotypes, I want to back up and say there are a lot of things that people think and believe about whatever a person stands for. You know, whether it's a queer person or a teenager or somebody who's ratchet or somebody who's the matriarch of the church, you know, whatever these roles are, there is a sensitive way that I think you go in and reveal the complexity and humanity of the characters, which is not an easy thing to do. So where did your writing career start, and you're refining your writing chops to really go deep and underneath the layers like that?
So love is the crux of everything. And when I walk past a homeless person, when I walk past a drug addict, like a couple weeks ago, I actually saw someone shooting up on the street, and I didn't judge. I thought that's their form of love. That drug gives them love, something that they don't feel from the outward world, right? So when I write, I think for each character, what is the love that they are looking for in the world? And that is the insight to how they will have needs in the play. Latrice wants her father to show up more. You know, Simone is trying to repair a broken heart after a unraveling of a relationship. Beverly just wants a hug from her big sister, right? Every character has a need. And if we write from the humane place of what these people want and what people just want, some people just want to have a house. Some people just want to have a partner. Some people just want freedom, right? Not to be judged. And if you write from that place, we are tapping into the very familiar, humane aspects of what it is to live on this earth. And so I always write from that place.
That's just beautiful. I'm going to remind folks one last time, you are listening to Dreamleapers with Harriette Cole here on WBAI in New York City. That's 99.5 FM and everywhere online at WBAI.org. We are talking Broadway today, which is so exciting for me, especially because there are many stories, 7 stories, to be specific, that are opening on Broadway in this season of rebirth for Broadway, seriously, that are written by and about Black people, but that are universal stories for everyone. And today we have the honor of talking to Douglas Lyons, who has written the play Chicken and Biscuits that is debuting right now on Broadway. And you can go to see it. You and somebody you love can go to see this play. Douglas very generously has offered tickets to us. So for a $200 contribution to WBAI, your favorite radio station, you can have a date. You can have a date with whoever you want. I went with my husband last night. I'm bringing my daughter again. And, who knows who else I'm coming with. Why do I say that? Because it's a play that you want to see more than once. That's not always true, but it is true because it's uplifting. And we were talking about this earlier that, look, I like all kinds of productions, but I appreciate that I can laugh and cry when I go to this play, and that there are things to chew on. Last night I came home and my husband and I were talking to our daughter about some of the images in the play. When that happens, that means it's a good production, that you're continuing to talk about what you experienced and share it with other people. So if you would like to see this play, Chicken and Biscuits, please make a donation today of $200 to WBAI and say that you want to come and see Chicken and Biscuits, and you will receive 2 tickets. $200, 2 tickets. And Douglas, when does the play end?
January 2nd, 2022. Jesus, that's wow.
That's going to be a blink. This is what I want you all to know. Time goes by so fast. Do not wait, because you don't want to be the person, oh man, I said I was going to go see that play and I just got busy and didn't remember. Don't be that person. That's not what you want to be in this case. Call us 212-209-2950. Get your 2 tickets from Douglas for $200. Have yourself a date, and you're going to have fun and laugh and maybe reconsider your views about some things. I'm just going to say that that's possible. Douglas, tell us about your dreams as a creator when you were young. When did this dream first take root for you?
I don't actually have a good answer to that question. I think it's been a gradual development and understanding of self, and knowing, after Polka Dots had success off Broadway, I went, oh, maybe I can do this thing. Maybe this can be an actual career for me as a writer, because I was predominantly still an actor. And there were some really instrumental people in my life who just said, keep going, don't stop. Rebecca Covington, who's a friend who I was doing Beautiful with at the time, and she read maybe Brianna, I think the first time I made it to Brianna in the script. And she said, Douglas, keep going. I remember, and I was like, I don't know. People said they had seen this before and and so I was very discouraged. But honestly, it's been the tribe of people around me in the last 5 years: the Directors Company, the Queen's Theater, Adirondack Theater Festival, Theater Latte Da, Fifth Avenue in Seattle, theaters that have given me space to dream, poured into me and made me feel like I should keep going.
That's beautiful. And what's also true about your story, and I love this idea of the marriage of humanity and technology. I believe that when they come together the right way, magic can happen. That doesn't always happen, but in your case, social media became a very important pivotal driver for getting to Broadway. Can you social media and persistence. So tell us that story.
So very early on in my writing career, I realized that I did not have access to all of the rooms where it was happening. The artistic directors, I didn't have their emails. The directors I wanted to work with, I didn't know these people. And luckily, I've had a great agent since 2014. But getting the work out and getting the attention of people, I learned to do it on social media. I posted one of the songs from Polka Dots on Facebook, and it had 8,000 views within a couple of weeks. For a kids musical, that is unheard of, but people really liked it and shared it. And that was an epiphany for me to be like, maybe this is how I reach if I can't reach the rooms, I can at least reach the people. So in 2019, a Broadway producer, Hunter Arnold, who's the lead producer of Hadestown, followed me on Instagram. And when I went to follow him back, I was like, oh, you're a Broadway producer. You should read my scripts. I sent him a DM and I said, hey, I have a couple of projects. Do you read new musicals? Because some people don't. They don't take unsolicited materials. And he said, yeah, sure. Email me. And I sent him stuff. And every 5 weeks thereafter, I would follow up persistently in his mailbox and say, hey, so did you read? Hey, did you read? Did you read? Oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy. I haven't had a chance. During the pandemic, spring, like April, May, I got like a 4-paragraph message from him that said, I finally read your work and I'm a douchebag because I should have read it a long time ago. Let's talk. And those conversations led us to 2 projects, one being my Broadway playwriting debut with Chicken and Biscuits. So
that's beautiful.
Slide in those DMs.
And persistence is important. And we know, well, you as an actor first, and now as a playwright, certainly as an actor, rejection is a part of the landscape. And it can be difficult to keep pushing forward when you get no's with some frequency. What makes you push forward anyway?
There's always going to be one person who sees something in you, and you just might be knocking on the wrong doors. So writing wise, and I got confirmation in my spirit last year when I worked on my first television show, because these theater scripts that I had been passing around were sent to these 2 showrunners I had never met. And in my first meeting with them, they went, wow, man, this is really good. This is funny. This is good stuff. And I'd never heard that before. And so that reminded me that, like, oh, so it was just the space. I was in the wrong space. I was knocking on the wrong door at the time. And there's somebody out there, and it may take a while. One of our actresses tonight, actually multiple actors tonight are making their Broadway debut, but one of them, she's 50 years old. She's making her Broadway, and she's been in this business for probably 30 years.
Wow.
And you have to hold on and trust.
Well, and speaking of that, you know, and I mentioned with the Broadway League, we've been working hard to examine what are the roles that people can have and how can it be more equitable. And I'm curious for your backstage, because often backstage, even if there are few Black actors on stage, backstage is nobody Black. Who's backstage at Chicken and Biscuits?
Black people. Black people are all backstage. Stage manager, the youngest African-American director in Broadway history, Jalen Livingston, will make his Broadway debut tonight. Nakia hair, Dee costumes, Adam Honore lighting, set design, Lawrence, Twee, sound. We have made this a movement, not a moment. And I'm so proud. And also young. The majority of the creative team is under 40 years old.
Okay, so Douglas, what is normally said is, well, we can't find the people. We would hire them if we could find them. And now you're saying not only is it their debut and they're people of color, but they're young. So you found them. How did you find them?
Jalen knew a lot of these creatives from his personal relationships. Dee, I looked up like who's an African-American costume designer. Like I wanted to find one, and I found her. And then it's just networking. It's people that have worked together and collaborated together, who have a language and an understanding. They're going to collaborate well together. And I found Jalen at a concert. He just happened to sit next to me and we hit it off. And I call that destiny. That we are now here. I can't believe it. Oh my goodness.
And I'm going to say, I also call it having your eyes open. If you have your eyes open, then you can see, right?
Yeah.
And just before we go, you shared with me when we had our previous conversation, the wisdom that your father gave you about moving forward. What was that?
Ooh, you got it.
About no. So about the word no. So I'll tell you, and then you tell me back. That's all right, because you've been talking so much; it's hard to remember. You said that your father told you
Mm-hmm.
you should go for it, because what's the worst thing
Oh
that you
yeah,
can get?
the
A
worst.
no.
Yeah, yeah. There's the worst thing people can say to you is no, or I'll pass, or yes, or maybe. But if you never try, you will never know. If I had not finished the draft because people had discouraged me, I would not be on Broadway right now.
And so I hope everybody hears that. If you have a dream, just keep moving forward and go see Chicken and Biscuits. Douglas Lyons created this really wonderful story that will make you laugh and cry all at the same time. I have real tears and real laugh out loud. And plus, you go to church. So it's all kinds of fun. Thank you. Thank you, Douglas, and congratulations.
Thank you for having me.
Hey, you guys, you've been listening to Dreamleapers. Wasn't that great? I am having so much fun learning more about these Broadway productions. I hope that you will go to see Chicken and Biscuits. Do not delay. And let me remind you also that on October 16th, for those of you who are dreaming and trying to figure out what's next, I am hosting the Dreamleapers virtual retreat, What's Next. You can come for free, thanks to Toyota and Google now too. Go to my website, harrietcole.com, and just sign up and you can come. It's Saturday, October 16th from 1 to 4 p.m. We added an hour. We have tons of great speakers who will inspire you and direct you to leap into your dreams. Until next time, have a great day and make it count.